In every courthouse across America, justice is supposed to be blind. But in the small city of Greenville, Mississippi, justice had a face, and it belonged to Judge Henry Whitaker. To the public, he was respected, fair, and incorruptible. But to one man, the courthouse janitor, Elias Turner, the truth was much darker. Elias had seen things. He'd heard whispers behind closed doors, watched case files disappear, and noticed which defendants always seemed to walk free, even when their guilt was obvious. He was invisible to everyone, just the help. But one night, the man everyone underestimated would expose the corruption buried deep within Greenville's justice system, and bring down the very man who thought himself untouchable. Elias Turner was a quiet man in his 50s. He'd worked in the courthouse for nearly 20 years, cleaning floors and emptying the trash of the powerful. He had once been a welder, until a back injury forced him into janitorial work. Every day, he walked the same halls where justice was handed down. And every day, he saw how unfair that justice could be. Judge Henry Whitaker was Greenville royalty. A man with silver hair, a booming voice, and a smile that never reached his eyes. To the people, he was a hero of law and order. But Elias knew the truth. Whitaker's rulings always seemed to favor one company, Bridgestone Developers. Bridgestone was building luxury condos across the city, often on land taken from struggling black families. And every time they needed a court order to clear a neighborhood, Whitaker was there to sign it. Elias once found a half-burned envelope in the courthouse incinerator room, a check from Bridgestone to Whitaker for $75,000. The memo line read, "For project clearance." That same week, a family was evicted from their home. Elias remembered Whitaker laughing to a colleague, saying, "Some people were never meant to own prime property. I just expedite the process." Those words burned into Elias's mind. He had no power, no wealth, no allies. But he had something Whitaker didn't, a conscience. One humid August night, Elias stayed late, polishing the floors outside courtroom 3A. The courthouse was empty, except for a few clerks finishing paperwork. Then he heard Whitaker's voice echoing through the hallway. The judge was speaking to someone, a man with a thick accent and a nervous tone. Elias froze, pretending to mop near the door. Whitaker said, "You'll get your permit approval by next week. But I don't move cheap, Mr. Ramirez. You understand." The man replied, "Of course, Judge. The envelope's right there on the desk." Whitaker laughed. "Good. Just make sure your name doesn't appear anywhere near the purchase order." Elias's stomach churned. The judge was taking another bribe. But this time, Elias had something he'd never had before, a phone with a working camera. He set it on the mop bucket handle and hit record. Through the small gap under the door, he caught the sound of the conversation and a partial view of Whitaker's shoes, the desk, and the envelope being exchanged. The video wasn't perfect, but it was enough. That night, Elias saved the footage to a secure drive labeled Proof, Whitaker Bribe. He told no one. Over the next few weeks, he quietly collected more evidence, bits of shredded documents from Whitaker's trash, timestamps of suspicious court rulings, and bank records that matched deposits to a shell company Whitaker owned. The janitor had become an investigator. He was scared, but determined, because years ago, Whitaker had sentenced Elias's cousin, a young black man accused of stealing from Bridgestone, to 10 years in prison on false evidence. His cousin died behind bars. Elias never forgot. This time, he would make sure justice had a name, and it was his. When he finally decided to act, Elias didn't go to the police. He went to Channel 5 News, a local station known for exposing corruption. He met reporter Dana Cruz in the courthouse parking lot one rainy evening. He handed her a small flash drive wrapped in a napkin. "This man's been selling justice for cash," Elias said. "I got proof, video, documents, everything. You need to see it before he destroys more lives." Dana promised to look into it. A week later, the story exploded. Headlines read, "Greenville judge accused of accepting bribes from developers." The footage went viral. People couldn't believe it. The voice was unmistakably Whitaker's. Protests broke out. Federal investigators were called in. Whitaker went on television, claiming the video was fake, that it was part of a political smear campaign. He even accused Elias of planting evidence. Overnight, the quiet janitor became the center of a storm. Elias was suspended from his job. He received threats, his neighbors avoided him. But he never backed down, because what Whitaker didn't know was that Elias had kept one last piece of evidence. Months earlier, Elias had secretly placed a phone behind a maintenance vent inside the courtroom. It captured a conversation between Whitaker and a Bridgestone executive, one where they openly discussed fabricating evidence to seize private property. When investigators subpoenaed the files, Elias turned over that final recording. And when it leaked, the city erupted again. Whitaker's own voice was heard saying, "Erase the property deed and make sure the family doesn't show up in court. I'll handle the paperwork." The recording was undeniable. The man who had ruled over thousands of cases had just sentenced himself. The next morning, Judge Henry Whitaker was arrested for bribery, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. The courthouse felt different after that. The marble halls that once echoed with arrogance now carried a quiet sense of relief. Elias returned to work a few months later. Reporters wanted interviews, networks offered documentaries, but he refused them all. He didn't want fame, only peace. One morning, he stood in courtroom 3A, mop in hand, looking up at the judge's bench. A new judge now sat there, fair, humble, and just. For the first time, the courthouse truly felt like a place of justice. Whitaker, the man who thought himself untouchable, now sat in a prison cell awaiting trial. The same system he manipulated had finally caught him. And in a twist of poetic irony, the janitor, the man no one ever saw, had cleaned up the very corruption that stained the halls of power. At sentencing, months later, Whitaker stood before a federal judge in an orange jumpsuit and shackles. Elias sat quietly in the gallery, watching. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, Whitaker's eyes found Elias's. No words were spoken. But in that silence, justice spoke louder than any gavel. Elias smiled, not out of revenge, but relief. He had done what no one else dared to do. He had proven that truth, no matter how small, could bring down even the biggest lies. Months later, Channel 5 News aired a follow-up story titled "The Custodian Who Cleaned Up the Courthouse." When asked how he found the courage, Elias said, "They say the system is broken, but it's not, it's just dirty. Sometimes, it takes someone with a mop to show the world what's been swept under the rug." That quote went viral across the country. Elias Turner became a quiet symbol of courage, proof that the smallest voices can still bring down giants. He retired the following year, moving to a small house outside the city. He kept no awards, no trophies, just a framed newspaper clipping that read, "Justice finally swept clean." The story of Elias Turner reminds us that justice doesn't always wear a robe or carry a badge. Sometimes, it wears worn-out shoes and carries a mop. Power can corrupt, but truth, in the hands of the humble, can dismantle even the most untouchable empires. Because no matter how high corruption climbs, it will always fall, when the invisible decide to be seen. Because in the end, every secret leaves a trace. Every lie leaves evidence in the dark. This is Dark Evidence, where the truth always finds its light. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories of crime, justice, and the people who risk everything to expose the truth.